Hi friends, happy friends. Are we friends? Are we friends? Hi, happy Friday. So I did skip the last 2 Fridays, but my goal for the foreseeable future is to upload every Friday, if possible. I do have all those, chronic illnesses and pain and all that whatnot, and that's what happened the last 2 weeks, so I wasn't able to keep up with my art schedule, but the goal is to upload every Friday. So happy Friday. Thank you for joining me for another video. I'm actually really excited for this video. First off, it is the first art video of 2022. It's actually going to be my first art piece of 2022, so I'm super excited for that. But also, because it's my first art piece of 2022, I wanted to do something special. I just hit 300 followers on my Instagram account, which is not a big number, but it's a big number to me. I'm really gonna try my hardest to not make this as Sparta references because I know I'm very old. So because I hit 300 followers, I'm officially hosting my first ever Draw This in Your Style. I did a video last year where I participated in a Draw This in Your Style by Thierry Art. There's going to be a link somewhere to that video if you want to go back and watch that, where I kind of explain a little bit of what a Draw This in Your Style is. But just a quick recap for those that don't know, a Draw This in Your Style is an event hosted on social media, and it's basically where you take a drawing or an art piece that you have created and you post it and invite anybody and everybody that wants to recreate that art in their individual style and upload it and tag you. And some people do it as a giveaway event, some people do it as a feature event. It's kind of just a free-for-all. I think it's just really fun. I love Draw This in Your Style events. I literally have a bunch of them that I'm going to be joining for other artists in the next coming weeks. I've never hosted one of my own though. I think there's a little bit of pressure when hosting your own because you want to make sure that your art is something that people will want to recreate to join in on the challenge. You want to make sure that you make something that's worth looking at and worth recreating. And I probably put too much pressure on myself in that regard. Because some of the ones that I've joined have been super simple, super easy, just like a character portrait. And then other ones I've joined have been super detailed and super extravagant. So there's really no rules, but it's just kind of for myself, I was oh, I have to create something that I really want people to like. But I also wanted to do something that was special to me. I decided to do a redraw for my Draw This in Your Style. I redrew my Space Girl portrait. So I've done this, and it's so funny. I've literally been drawing this character 10 years, 9 years. I never named her. She's just Space Girl, which is funny because I have another Space Girl character that I've redrawn a couple times too, and it's 2 separate Space Girls. I'm not gonna get into it. I should probably name them, but I don't have a story really for them. They're just my Space Girls. So here is the original that I made back in 2013. It was originally drawn and then scanned on my computer, and then I colored it in MS Paint on the computer. So that's why it looks like that. And then I did redraw her, and that was back in 2018. So there was a 5-year gap. It's about damn time that I've redrawn her. In this style. It's a literal recreation. I've drawn a couple of just quick little portraits of her, but nothing full body. And so I wanted to entirely just recreate that concept that I apparently draw every 4 to 5 years. Hi, you want to be on camera? Thank you. So I usually don't show my actual process on YouTube just because it's very messy and hard to film because it's kind of chaotic and all over the place. My process isn't the same for every art piece that I create. It kind of depends on how big the project is. You want to kiss me so badly. Are we having a moment? Oh, thank you. Okay. So for something like this that I knew I cared more about and I wanted to get right, something that I struggle with are body proportions, specifically torso area. I have to look at a lot of reference photos of photography and things like that. So it's a whole thing. So it starts off with that, of me having to find reference photos of the exact pose that I know I'm wanting to go with, because I know that I can't use my previous art as a reference because the anatomy is all over the place and wonky. I would say the original one is better than the redraw. The original one from 2013, the anatomy is a little bit better, but that's also why she's like super scrunched and hiding a lot of stuff, because I was like, I'm not gonna draw the things that I'm not confident drawing. And that worked out in my favor. And then in the redraw, I was feeling a lot more confident in my art skills. I was brand new to watercolors. I think that's one of the first watercolor paintings that I did, but I was like on an art high of like, I'm on Instagram, I've found myself as an artist, here we go, look at this amazing thing I'm drawing. And it's just like, her torso is super long and like really, there's like no organs there, you know what I mean? Like there's nothing there. Like you can see where I'm going with my progression of my art style, but it is very like shoujo manga looking. Like it's very Sailor Moon proportions, I think. And that's not what I'm going for now. That's not how I draw anymore. And I don't even think I realized at the time when I drew it, I didn't even see it that way. I was like, yeah, this looks great. I wasn't trying to draw Sailor Moon proportions, but so I couldn't use that as a point of reference. So I had to find the pose that I was going for. I have a whole Pinterest board of just like modeling. And it's just poses and references that I know I'm going to use later on. So it's just really me scrolling through that. And my personal preference, I like to take bits and pieces from different reference photos and stitch them all together to make the pose. So I'll find a reference photo like for just the torso area because I know I have a problem with that. And I have a whole other Pinterest board of underwater photography and underwater modeling because that kind of helps me get that weightlessness that I'm going for my Space Girls. So that one I look for like the torso to leg placement because you're floating. And so the legs are going to be at a different angle than if the model's standing. And that helps me kind of get that whole bottom half. But so I kind of just stitch little bits and pieces of, from what I know I can do from my head and then what I need to look at a reference for. And then I kind of just stitch it all together. And then because I'm messing around with the proportions, and I know I'm probably not going to get them right on my first go, I try to do a little bit of a digital mock-up. I don't do digital art, but I will do digital thumbnail sketching. So I use my tablet, and I'll use an app like Sketchbook, which I believe it's a free app that I got on my tablet. It's an Android. I don't know if it's available on iPhone, but I love it. It's just called Sketchbook. I can be really messy and kind of just do whatever. But yeah, so once I kind of mess around with that, then for this one specifically, I took the digital sketch, used that as another reference to do a test sketch in my sketchbook. And that way I can add the details and kind of see how it feels with the pencil and putting in all the details that way. And then sometimes I will also use the sketchbook for a color test for this one because it's a character that I've painted a bunch of times. I know her color palette. I don't need to do a color test on the sketchbook, but for other projects, I will do a little bit of test coloring. And then, and then after that, it's once I finished it to the point where I'm like, okay, yeah, this is definitely the pose and everything is correct. This is what I want to do. This is the direction I'm going in. I'll then take that sketchbook sketch and then I have to transfer it and recreate it onto large watercolor paper. And then that's my time to do all the finalizing details and get that line work nice and neat and ready to go, because that's the one I'm going to paint on. And the reason for that is because you don't want to erase on watercolor paper too much. A little bit of erasing is okay, but if you know it's something that you really have to fine tune to get right, and you're gonna have to erase and start over a bunch of times, the more you erase on watercolor paper, the more you're damaging the fibers of the paper, and it's just going to mess up your painting later on. The watercolors, like the paint, is just not going to work well with the paper, and it's gonna be a mess. So that's why I go through all of these steps before I actually put it onto the paper that I'm gonna be painting on, because it sounds like a lot of work, but it really pays off in the long run. And again, that's not for all of my projects. There are some projects that I know right away I don't need a lot of referencing to, or I don't need to erase a bunch, so I can just slap those right on the watercolor paper and just go from there. So it depends on the project. So now we just get to paint it and we're gonna have a blast. I'm really excited to see what she looks like in 2022 and see if I can make my space girl spiffy enough to entice other people to join in on my Draw This in Your Style challenge. All right, so if you want to join in on this Draw This in Your Style challenge, here is the hashtag that I will be using. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. I'll be posting it on all of those social media platforms so you can join in. I don't think I'm gonna do a deadline. I think it's just gonna be a free-for-all. Whoever wants to join can join, and I will definitely be sharing every entry on my Instagram or Twitter, depending on where you're posting it. But I would love to see your version of my Space Girl. Maybe one day we could name her. If you have a name, totally let me know. I probably won't use it, but I would love to hear suggestions. So yeah, and thank you for watching this video. I hope it was a little bit different to see the kind of progression of where I started to where I am now. And you know, there's always room to grow. And I also think Draw This in Your Style challenges are a great tool to growing as an artist. It definitely gives you a way to practice your skills and draw something that you probably wouldn't have drawn on your own. And it's just a great, useful tool. It's one of the good things about social media. It's not always a great thing to be an artist on the internet, but this is definitely one of those things that is community building. It's good for networking. It's good for practicing and art studies. And it's just fun. So I hope you have fun. I'm having fun already, and I can't wait to see what you guys create. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next Friday.